Hey, I'm Todd Jones. I'm the host of the podcast, Press Box Access. Check out this clip from my conversation with Charles Pierce. Let's hear how Pierce saw Larry Bird become more comfortable with the media as his Hall of Fame career progressed. When Bird first came out of Indiana State and joined the Celtics, he was thought of somebody who didn't like to talk to the media, quiet. Did you see a change in him through his career in terms of how he dealt with the media
Yes.
on a day-to-day
Oh yeah,
scrums?
he showed up in town and he was practically agoraphobic. I mean, he had his house out in Brookline, and he would go to practice and go to his house, go to the game and go to his house, get on the bus, go to the airport, fly to the game, fly back, get on the bus, get on the car, go to his house. The only time you got to see him outside the basketball court was he would mow his lawn on Saturday, and people would come and park in his neighborhood in Brookline and watch Larry mow his lawn. It was a it was a great and he was fine with it. He would wave, wouldn't talk to anybody, but he would wave, and people would take his picture and be out there in his little Toro lawnmower mowing his lawn. And I always found that was pretty charming. But as he grew and grew and grew and grew, and became more open and began to understand, began to be comfortable and understand his place in the world, he opened up in a lot of ways and revealed himself to be the interesting human being that he is. I'll never forget that they played a game right at the end of his career, the night that Magic Johnson had announced he had been diagnosed with HIV. And he was visibly shaken. He says now it's the only time he ever stepped on a basketball court and didn't want to play. He's quite open about that. And after the game, he talked about, the impact that it had on him, and and he was literally, if you ever see a video of it, he's legitimately shell shocked. And he talked about his father's suicide, which was absolutely persona non grata, or not persona, subject non grata, I guess, for almost his entire career. I mean, Sports Illustrated in a profile while he was at Indiana State mentioned that his father had committed suicide, and he didn't speak to Sports Illustrated for 10 years. It wasn't until Jack McCallum, brokered a piece somehow. But that was the most tender part of his psyche. I mean, it was, his father had literally committed suicide while on the phone with his mother. His father apparently was a Korean War vet who would come home with PTSD before they knew what PTSD was, and never quite got over it, and called his mother and shot himself while he was on the phone with her. Which is, by the way, why he and Pete Maravich Pete Maravich's brief period with the Celtics, he and Bird became very close because Pete Maravich's mother had done the same thing. Larry said, he still wouldn't say the word suicide, but he said, I haven't felt like this since the day my dad passed away. And I was floored because he volunteered it. Nobody asked him, can you compare this to, the day your father died? He just volunteered it in front of everybody. And then everybody, a lot of the people who didn't know the story were running around, asking Jackie McMullen or me or Bob Ryan, what the deal was. And for him to open up on that was a measure of how he had grown as a caring, sensitive, intelligent human being over the course of his public life. And I found that particular moment incredibly moving.